Okay, this is the last study under the biological approach, which is the study on about mindfulness and brain scan done by Holzel et al. All right, so let's dive into it. Okay, the background on mindfulness meditation. So, what is the benefits? Mindfulness in meditation has shown benefits for psychological well-being. All right, um, it helps to reduce stress and some other things. Okay, now increasing use of psychotherapy. It has been increasingly used in, by psychotherapeutic programs, or let me say for such purpose, efficacy in symptom. All right, it reduces symptoms of various disorders and improving quality of life. All right, it also helps in creating more awareness without being judgmental, without being biased. Okay, it helps you to understand what is really going on, what is being aware of everything around you, and not just being absent-minded. All right, so what is neuroimaging studies on mindfulness? All right, exploring neuromechanics, neuroimaging studies, that is image of the brain now. Okay, started exploring its neural mechanism through advanced brain scanning technique. All right, by looking at what are the things going on in the brain while we are meditating or engaging in meditating exercise. Now, the structural brain difference. Studies have shown structural brain difference between meditators and non-meditators. All right, in key regions, in some areas, there are some differences in the brain structure of those that perform meditating exercises, such as yoga, sitting meditation, body scan, and some other things. All right, as compared to those that do not. All right. So, what is the aim of the study? To understand the psychological and neural mechanism underlying mindfulness based intervention. So, which is basically the mindfulness exercise. Okay, psychology being investigated in the study, effect of MBSR, which is mindfulness based um, stress. No, yeah, mindfulness based stress reduction. Okay, now to investigate the effect of on psychological well-being, changes in well-being, exploring change in mindfulness, stress reduction, and overall well-being following participation in 8 weeks MBSR course. Okay, structural brain change, examining the change in the brain structure, or let me say the change in the brain appearance. All right, when you participate in mindfulness practice. Okay, all right, so there is something called region of interest in the study, which is the ROI, region of interest. Region of interest includes the hippocampus, hippocampi when you look at the two sides, both one on the left, one on the right, and then the insula, one on the left, one on the right. You look at both the left and right insula, and then the whole brain analysis. We have the posterior cingulate cortex, PCC. We have the left temporoparietal junction, which is the TPJ, and then the lateral cerebellum, and then the cerebellar vermis. So both of these are known as the cerebellum anyway. Okay, so these are the full brain scan. So they want to look at if there will be a change in the brain just by engaging in mindfulness exercise, looking at the region of interest, which includes this, okay, left and right of this, left and right of this, and then they will look at the whole brain by looking at those four different aspects. Okay, mental health implication, anxiety and depression, understanding relationship between mindfulness practice and improvement in mental health includes reduction in symptoms of this. So these are some of the benefits. Okay, moving forward. Study aim, investigate brain structure, changes following an 8-week MBSR course. Okay, now focuses on specific region. I mentioned that earlier, whole brain analysis. Okay, the 4 parts, the PCC, the TPJ, the cerebellum, vermis, and then the other cerebellum. Okay, so neurological change, identify neurological change related to mindfulness practice. Sorry, I'm trying to be as fast as possible. Okay, so impact on well-being, understand how those changes may impact psychological well-being. Short-term change, explore detectable structural change. So what could be the structural change? That's the short term, and then how it will affect the entire well-being. That's the long-term change. Brain well-being relationship. All right. So assessing the relationship between brain changes and then the well-being. So those are different aspects of the study that we might look at. Now, what is the experimental design? It's a longitudinal experiment design, okay, because it incorporates both self-report assessment and neuroimaging, which is brain scan over time. All right, and then it took a longer period of time. So the IV there is the comparison between MBSR intervention and control group. So which is MBSR exercise, those that are practicing the meditation exercise, okay, and then those that do not, which are the control group. Dependent variable will be measurement through number one now FFMQ, which is the 5 facet mindfulness questionnaire. All right, and then the second one will be the result from the brain scan, okay, voxel based morphological score from brain scan to tell if there are changes in the um, brain structure, and then to check if there are changes in their well-being, their awareness, and the likes. So the samples used, 16 participants in the MBSR condition were used, although initially they were 18, but 2 withdrew. All right, so remaining 16. All right, 17 participants in the control condition. So what is the sampling technique? It was not stated in the study. However, the participants were enrolled in the MBSR course, so it could have been volunteered or opportunity sampling. So we can just guess, but they will barely ask these questions in the exam. All right, but even if it happens they asked, all right, just you can go for opportunity sampling. All right, I think it should be safe. Okay, now participant demographics. So I mentioned this earlier, and then gender: 8 male, 8 female in the experimental group, MBSR group, and then 9 male, 8 female in the control group. So they are fairly distributed. The mean age 37.89, 37.89, so that is good. Education, all right, 7.7 years, 17 rather, and then it's fairly equal. So ethnicity, we have 13 Caucasians, 1 Asian, 1 African American, 1 multi-ethnic. So same here. However, we have 2 Asians, okay, and then 2 African American, and then 1 Hispanic, uh, on Hispanic. Okay, that's it. All right. So moving forward, we have 2 participants from the initial MBS group. We said that earlier. So moving forward, the control group size, there are 17. All right. Control participants who were scanned twice, approximately 2 months apart. What is the purpose? They scan them, all right, before they scan them, all right, and then they scan them again to see what is going to happen in their brain structure, if there will be changes. And then they also scan the experimental group twice as well before the the meditation exercise, and then they scan them also after the meditation exercise. So using the same participants, scanning them before and after an exercise, that is repeated measure. So scanning the control group as well twice, that is also repeated measure, because you're producing different results from their brain scan, approximately 2 months apart. Okay, however, using control group separately, because the control group are not receiving the meditation exercise, and then the experimental group are receiving, so that is independent. So they used both designs in this study, right? Inclusion and exclusion criteria. Physically, now before you will be included, you must be able to meet all this expectation. You must be physically and psychologically healthy. You must not be taking any medication. All right, so these are measures of control. You must be aged between 25 and 55 years. Okay, that's their priority. Okay, another one is exclusion criteria. These are the things that will disqualify a participant if there is any recent meditation experience, because it is believed that that could have affected their brain structure even before the experiment. So they will be excluded. If there's contraindication of MRI scanning, all right. So like if you have any issues, or maybe any metallic object infused into the body, all right, you won't be allowed. You'll be disqualified. Now, inability to commit to the course requirement. If you're not able to assure your commitment um, to the exercise, then you won't be used. Obviously, those that were used, the 16 in the experimental group and 17 in the control group, they met this criteria. All right, so MBSR course structure, duration, it lasted for 8 weeks of mindfulness-based stress reduction course. All right, they had weekly meetings. They met every week. Now, weekly group meetings, okay, lasting for 2.5 hours each. Okay, now there is a full day session, one full day session during the 6th week. All right, so but then each of their weekly group meeting, the met 2.5 hours each. Okay, and then on the 6th week they had a full day session. So however, they also had these practices at home. They met okay, rather they also practice the MBSR exercises at home independently. Okay, so what are the exercises involved? They add body scan, full body scan. All right, another one is mindfulness yoga, you know, and then the last one is sitting meditation. Okay, so this is more like a sitting meditation. You just sit down and then you meditate on yourself. You think around a lot of things about yourself. Okay, yoga on the other hand, you might be moving your muscles, your hand, your legs, but with attention, with focus, and with concentration on your body movement. So body scan, it basically involves you scanning your body from head down to toe, what is really going on, processing it without being judgmental. Okay, so the procedure for scanning now, equipment. There was high resolution MRI data that were acquired using, okay, the scanner. All right, is an MRI machine. Okay, the timing, participants underwent MRI scanning before and after the exercise. So in the experimental group, before the exercise and after the exercise. Analysis, imaging data were analyzed using voxel-based morphometry. This is a particular software that will make a comparison between their before picture and their after picture to analyze the difference. Is there a difference between the picture they took before and the picture they took after? It will bring out, extract the difference and be able to tell that, okay, there is a difference in this part, there is a reduction in this part. So that software can do that. All right. So, and obviously that software is going to be objective if you're analyzing or evaluating the study. Okay, so VBM analysis was performed to investigate change in gray matter concentration. So there's a concept of gray matter. Gray matter in this study refers to like, let me say, concentration of cells. Okay, concentration of cells or neurons, okay, around the particular part of the brain involved in the meditation exercise. So if a part of the brain is involved in the exercise or is activated during that part, so a lot of cells, or let me say a lot of neurons are going to accumulate around that part of the brain. So this gray matter are the representation of those neurons when you take the picture. So will there be a lot of gray matter around that part? So when there are a lot of gray matter, that shows that the part of the brain is going to be more active. Okay, so that's just the idea. Now, ROI, don't forget region of interest, the insula and the hippocampus. Okay, the whole brain, don't forget the 4 parts of the whole brain scan that was used. Age and gender were controlled for as nuisance variable, okay, or statistical analysis. So like extraneous variable. Okay, they control for age and other things that were not really relevant. So that would not be an effect, or let me say, an extraneous variable. Okay, so daily recording, participant recorded the amount of time they spent individually now in their mindfulness exercise, in their own place of work, whatever. All right, program compliance. Compliance with MBSR program was monitored to assess the relationship between practice time and outcome. Okay, they also monitored if the participants were complying with what they were doing. So they had to do what? Every day. They had to record their exercise every day. Okay, so gray matter change, longitudinal change in brain. I mentioned this earlier. I explained this, all right? So following the 8 weeks, will there be changes or not? Okay, so there were changes in brain gray matter concentration observed following the 8-week MBSR course compared to the control group. When you compare the experimental to the control group, we found that there is a significant increase in gray matter concentration only in the left hippocampus in the MBSR group. Okay, so there was an increase in the left hippocampus, but we cannot find that increase in the control group. All right. However, for the right hippocampus, no significant increase. In the right insula and left insula, no significant increase. It only affected the hippocampus. All right. Other region, exploratory whole brain scan analysis reveals significant increase in gray matter concentration in the posterior cingulate cortex. That's the PCC, in the uh, temporoparietal junction, that is the TPJ, and then the both cerebellum. So when it comes to the other brain scan, there were increase in the forepart in the MBSR group, that is experimental group, as compared to the control group. So that is, when they take the picture of the experimental group around those 4 parts before the experiment, and then when they compare with after the experiment, when they take their picture, they saw an increase. When they look at the result of the control group as well, before and after, they didn't see an increase. So which means that mindfulness affected this 4 part of the overall brain region, and it affected the left hippocampus. Okay, so this is the result, the picture: the posterior cingulate cortex, the lateral cerebellum, cerebellum vermis, and temporoparietal junction. So you can see an increase in the MBSR. All right, whereas the control group, they're receiving a decrease or slight increase. This is also a slight decrease. All right, so implication of brain change: self-awareness and emotional regulation. The hippocampus, that is the left, all right, the TPJ, the PCC are implicated, and also the cerebellum were implicated in self-awareness, emotional regulation, and self-referential processing, which enhanced through mindfulness practice. All right, cerebellum role: the cerebellum, traditionally associated with motor control, that is the movement, also showed increase in gray matter concentration, suggesting a role in emotional regulation and cognitive processing. All right, so region within the brainstem, including the locus coeruleus. Okay, please bear with me with the pronunciation. And the RAF nuclei exhibited increased gray matter concentration, although this were not part of the whole brain scan that were looked into now. But they also found an increment there, potentially increasing mood regulation. And so these are other results anyway. They are not necessarily part of the study. All right, so changes in gray matter concentration were not correlated with the amount of mindfulness homework practice. However, they saw changes really, but the change, the length of the change is not based on how much time you spent in the practice. They only found the change, but there is no significant correlation. That is, those that spend much time, they do not necessarily have higher change than those that spend less time. So which means there could be a broader effect on MBSR program beyond the duration of the time you spend on the exercise. There could be other factors that caused the increment when it comes to the thing. Maybe it's not just the time you spent, but maybe how intentional you are during the exercise. Okay, now MBSR effectiveness: mindfulness-based stress reduction was found to be effective in reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression, as well as improving psychological well-being and resilience. Okay, so that is good. Structural brain change, which is the short term, participants who underwent MBSR showed significant structural changes in their brain region. You remember those parts we mentioned earlier. Genetic consideration. Oh, sorry. These changes suggest that mindfulness training can induce neuroplasticity. This is change in the brain, or let me say, modification of the brain, and alter brain structure related to mental health. So, which means If you notice that maybe there is a part of your brain that is not effective enough, you can try to target it, and then there can be change. There can be change in your brain. So if you're trying to maybe create more self-awareness, improve your emotional control, emotional regulation, then you can do this activity. It's going to change, or let me say, gradually modify your brain until your brain is able to develop a new structure. All right. So genetic consideration, understanding the role of genetic in response to mindfulness training could inform personalized intervention tailored to individuals' genetic profile, optimizing effectiveness of mindfulness-based practice for mental health. All right. Genetic consideration too could also be something we can look into to see how much it affects the exercise. Excuse me. So what is the strength of the study? There is a thorough screening process. So there's a comprehensive physical and psychological screening of the participants to reduce confounding variables. Okay, participant safety, rigorous safety protocol, including MRI screening and freedom to withdraw were present, so participants can leave if they want. All right, obviously two people left, which shows rights to withdrawal is allowed. Okay, ethical study design. Control group received MBSR post-study. After the study, they compensated the control group by giving them the MBSR um, experiment, or let me say intervention as well. So they did not just leave them like that. So they did well, all right? So longitudinal approach, it's a very long, it provide a long-term effect. They also checked the overall well-being of the people to see that it improved the overall well-being, um, just even after the experiment. Yeah. So advanced analysis method, combined ROI and the whole brain scan analysis enabled comprehensive examination of structural change. That is good research impact. Findings strengthen existing literature on neural effects on mindfulness meditation. So there could be effect of the neurons on this activity. All right, so it's good for research purpose. It informed us. However, the weakness, you have the sample size. All right, it's a small sample size. Talking about the participant, that limits generalizability. What about the future larger study? All right, implement research with larger study. Okay, more diverse participants. Okay, to increase generalizability. What about the control variable? Other variable like lifestyle differences or pre-existing neurological variation could have influenced the result. Okay, do not also forget that these people were recording their exercises from home. What about other activities they do when they were at home? That could have also influenced the result. Okay, you can try to increase the control, by reducing some extra things that they do in their natural lifestyle, in one way or the other. Another issue was the self selection bias because they did not select the participant randomly. Okay, so they used only a category of people alone. So there's an issue. So when you're recruiting now, you can try to recruit maybe from a broader sample population. So causality question, while changes were observed, the study cannot definitely establish causality. Okay, that is, were those part of the brain affected directly, or let me say, did meditation cause that exact change? We might not be able to tell because there could be other possibility. All right, there could be other variables, and especially when it comes to biological aspect, it is difficult to say that okay, a particular part of the brain is the cause of a behavior. It is difficult to establish. Okay, just like we might not be able to tell exactly that. Okay, for example, um, excess dopamine can cause um, hyperactiveness. Okay, or let's say for example mania. It can be difficult to say okay, excess dopamine can cause that because dopamine is responsible for quite a lot of things. All right, so it might be hard to establish causality. Right, so you can do a more longitudinal study, all right, to be able to establish if meditation really caused the exact change or there were other things that resulted in that. So thank you very much. That is the study by Holzel et al. Mindfulness brain scan. So you can check my other video on this same um, topic. All right, so it's a more detailed one compared to this that is short. So please, thank you very much. Try to like my video, please. I will appreciate it a lot. And please support my channel, please. I'm trying to meet up with 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, please subscribe. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in your preparation.